Verisa excitedly greets the Traveler and Paimon, having waited for their arrival after hearing Coach Yansan had invited them to the tribe. She expresses admiration for their heroic actions in defeating the Abyss, mentioning she knows the story of Tumani by heart. Verisa modestly downplays her role during the Abyss invasion, attributing most of the success to Uncle Akatl, while she only cleared out monsters. The Collective of Plenty recovered well and has been helping other tribes with repairs. While escorting the group, Verisa casually warns about pulverite rocks from the volcano that crash into the area. She demonstrates her training routine using these dangerous rocks, showing remarkable physical abilities that impress her visitors. The group encounters obstacles on their journey, but Verisa confidently leads them through, eventually reaching the Collective of Plenty. She points out the impressive resonating arena where competitions are held. Verisa abruptly needs to leave for her post-workout meal to avoid becoming a lethargic mess from hunger. She suggests meeting up later at the arena, displaying her interesting personality that shifts between laid-back and intensely focused. After eating a meal prepared by her father, Verisa returns refreshed and ready to give an informal tour. She mentions that Uncle Akadol, the tribe chief, wasn't home to properly introduce them to the tribe. Verisa shows her family home located behind a fruit stand. Her family runs a large orchard near the tribe entrance. She describes her daily routine of helping around the house, training, and working in the orchard after her parents' delivery runs. They encounter Coach Yansan maintaining training equipment. The coach mentions Verisa's exceptional natural abilities, unusual metabolism, and remarkable strength that exceeds even the coach's. Verisa modestly attributes her success to her coach's guidance. Despite her physical prowess, Verisa reveals insecurities about fighting real people, fearing she might hurt someone. She's never advanced beyond team stages in the pilgrimage competitions, despite her strength, because she lacks confidence in controlling her power. At the orchard, they meet Venana, a large creature that guards the property. Verisa explains that the volcanic soil makes the area exceptionally fertile, producing amazing fruits that they sell to other tribes and share with family and friends. Verisa shares childhood memories of eating fruit from her family's stand, which attracted customers who enjoyed watching her enthusiasm. They prepare to pick fruit for an upcoming epic feast showdown, a speed-eating contest requiring many ingredients. They discover unique mushrooms growing in the orchard that appeared mysteriously when the orchard was first planted. These unusual mushrooms have a fruity flavor and require no maintenance, making them a perfect fit for the orchard despite their unknown origin. The characters are gathering ingredients for an eating competition. They discover an unusual mushroom that surprisingly tastes like fruit. Someone promises a meal despite not being the greatest cook, claiming high-quality ingredients are hard to mess up. The mushroom is revealed to be a favorite in their tribe, but not well known outside the Collective of Plenty. The tribe hopes to use the upcoming food competition to introduce their special mushroom to a wider audience. Uncle Atole has been creating numerous new recipes. They invite the newcomers to sign up for the competition, assuring them they can tap out anytime if needed, and nothing will go to waste. On competition day, Verisa is surprised the newcomers signed up. The competitors arrive hungry with empty stomachs. They learn their expenses will be waived as a token of gratitude for their services to Natlan, particularly during an abyss invasion when the volcano became unusually active and abyss tumors agitated the magma. The tribe has a generational duty to protect the volcano, which brings both disaster and opportunity, providing fertile soil and a thriving ecosystem. The Natlanis report unusual volcanic activity to the stadium. During their conversation, Verisa disappears, having followed the food scent to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Verisa receives braised meat stew while waiting for the competition. She admits to spacing out due to hunger. The competition was delayed because preparation took longer than usual. Atolle, the cook, confirms they're ready to begin the eating showdown. At the competition, the participants discover there are two challenge levels: the regular challenge and the significantly more difficult Veresa challenge, named after the only person who could complete it. Even the Pyro Archon couldn't finish the Veresa challenge. Veresa's enormous appetite had once raised suspicions of accounting fraud at the Weary Inn. The eating contest begins. While most struggle with the portions, Verisa completes her challenge with a new personal best: 10% increase in portion size. Ian-san reveals she can complete the regular challenge, but never came close to the Veresa challenge. Verisa shares her secret technique, setting aside some mushrooms to balance out the heaviness of the meat dishes. These special mushrooms from her orchard taste like fruit and help cut through the greasiness of other foods. Uncle Atolle mentions that nearly half the contestants finished the regular challenge, a record. Atolle explains there are two varieties of the mushroom: common red ones and rare green ones. While red mushrooms can be used freely, green ones must be picked and eaten immediately, a rule established by a Sumeru scholar with no explanation. The flavor is identical despite the color difference. Verisa invites the others to join her at the mushroom orchard. She checks it daily and eats any green mushrooms she finds, believing there's nothing special about them except the color. While she follows the rule without question, she admits curiosity about the reason behind it, but prioritizes her tribe's customs over investigation. A character expresses fear of change and losing control, despite acknowledging the importance of truth. They admit being scared that change could disrupt the comfortable status quo they enjoy. Another character encourages them to command the truth by gathering information rather than abandoning their duties. The reluctant character compares their companion to a tribal hero named Fiatena, who was courageous and explored the unknown. After taking a moment to gather courage, they agree to pursue the truth and investigate, starting with examining a green mushroom that supposedly tastes the same as red ones. After consuming the mushroom, the group hears a mysterious voice that identifies itself as the Sage Lord of Fungi. This entity shows particular interest in one member with golden hair. The Sage Lord claims to be granting them the honor of becoming its first subjects in this era. The group realizes the voice belongs to the green mushroom itself. The Sage Lord dismisses most of the group as unworthy, except for the one with potential. Despite their skepticism and mockery, the entity offers to share knowledge if they prove themselves worthy. The Sage Lord explains that the green mushroom clones are loyal subjects, guarding its secrets. It challenges the group to gather their wits, search for clues, and demonstrate devotion before disappearing. The group acknowledges that something unusual is happening with these mushrooms. The group embraces this as the beginning of their hero's journey to discover the truth about the mushrooms. They take confidence from having faced mushroom enemies before, though they suspect the Sage Lord is eavesdropping on their conversation. They encounter a sentient mushroom creature that speaks cryptically about food being sacred. This encounter leads them to understand that eating the mushrooms creates a spiritual connection with the Sage Lord, which explains how it could communicate telepathically with them. The group overhears two fungi discussing how to test humans. Through this eavesdropping, they discover that cooking is the ritual needed to strengthen their connection with the Sage Lord. They realize that high heat is crucial for releasing the mushroom's properties. They decide to explain the situation to Uncle Atolle and the rest of the tribe. To their surprise, The tribe readily accepts their story about sentient mushrooms, acknowledging that the origin of green mushrooms has always been mysterious to them. After cooking the mushrooms, they hear the Sage Lord again, who criticizes their efforts as insufficient. It claims the heat wasn't intense enough to demonstrate proper sincerity and challenges them to think harder about generating greater heat. The tribe mobilizes to help find more powerful heat sources. They decide to investigate around a nearby volcano, with one member suggesting they look for avatars of lava whose cores might provide the intense heat needed for the ritual. A conversation reveals that the Sage Lord's arrogant attitude triggered a tribal competitive spirit. Verisa admits she doesn't enjoy competing or fighting, valuing simple happiness instead. She credits Cozy Onsen for teaching her that strength serves a purpose, to protect others when needed, like during the Abyss invasion. Despite her fears, she strives to be brave for those counting on her. The group continues their search, finding an active phlogiston core that will be perfect for their needs. They encounter a dangerous furnace shell mountain weasel that can shoot phlogiston in all directions. After defeating it, they collect a piece of armor that produces extremely high temperatures, which would be useful for heating mushrooms. Verisa explains how she prepares for unavoidable battles by drawing inspiration from her hero Fiatena. She created a mask like Fiatena's, which helps her feel braver. However, she worries this has become a crutch and wonders if she'll ever have the courage to face challenges without it. The group reassures her that she's doing well and should progress at her own pace. With renewed confidence and appetite, the group heads back to the tribe with their materials. The tribe has been preparing for another attempt at cooking the mushrooms, gathering unconventional cooking implements, including buckets of lava. Everyone is determined to succeed this time and show respect to Verisa and her guest. The chef examines the furnace shell mountain weasel armor, noting its ability to produce intense localized heat, perfect for cooking fish with a nice sear without overcooking. As they begin cooking, something strange happens, and the group suddenly finds themselves separated from the others in a misty environment. They finally encounter the Sage Lord of Fungi, who offers them answers in exchange for becoming his subjects. He claims to have once granted humans unlimited power to defeat enemies, presenting himself as a savior who provided sustenance. In return, humans worshipped him and built civilizations dedicated to mushrooms. The group questions the Sage Lord's story, noting they've never heard of a mushroom civilization. When pressed for details, the Sage Lord becomes evasive. The group deduces his civilization must have failed, and he's reluctant to admit it. They pursue him for answers, managing to pull something from him during the chase. Through fragments of memory, they discover the truth. As humans consumed more of the Sage Lord's mushroom clones, his power diminished. Unable to sustain his following, he mind-controlled a human to bring him to Natlan's volcano. He was buried under volcanic rocks for ages until the area was cleared for an orchard, allowing him to regain power. The group realizes the mushroom possesses mind control abilities, which explains the vision of humans worshipping a giant mushroom. They theorize that as the mushroom's power diminished, it lost its ability to control them. Determined to find the mushroom that cannot hide forever, they discover it concealed within a statue. Confronting the mushroom, the group learns it calls itself the Sage Lord of Fungi, or Bifrans, claiming to be a god protecting humans during the Archon War. Bifrans reveals the mist from cooking the mushrooms released spores that will grow into green mushrooms and multiply exponentially, allowing it to regain power. Bifrans explains its ultimate goal: to reclaim godhood, win the Archon War, and take revenge on Sumeru. When informed that the Archon War ended long ago, Bifrans refuses to believe this, assuming it's trickery. The mushroom god threatens to imprison the group until mushrooms cover the entire land. The traveler explains that only those who have consumed many mushrooms can hear Bifrans clearly. Most people would need to eat enormous amounts to be affected. The group realizes the mushrooms need growth time, indicating Bifrans lacks sufficient power to detain them, despite its threats about a jade plume terrashroom. As the group flees to warn the tribe about the green mushrooms, Bifrans demands answers about the war against the abyss, confused by this unknown conflict. The fleeing group dismisses the mushroom god's concerns, considering it just a few harmless mushrooms despite its protests. After eliminating all the green mushrooms, they explain to Verisa that a dormant god had been planted in her orchard. The god's outdated knowledge about the Archon War revealed it had been isolated, unaware that Natlan was never involved in that conflict due to dragon infighting that dominated the region. They resolved to continue harvesting the green mushrooms to prevent the god from gaining power. Privately, a grateful tribe member thanks the traveler for encouraging the investigation and helping resolve the threat, admitting the adventure was enjoyable despite the danger. Learning that scholars from Sumeru had warned about these mushrooms, the group considers traveling there for more information. This would require permission from Uncle Akado and crossing a desert. News of an emergency declaration comes from the speaker's chamber, where an Immorta scholar was conducting research nearby. Verisa explains the mushrooms recently appeared in their orchard. When asked about other potential clones outside Natlan, the scholar's response intrigues them. The group plans to interact with what they hope will be a friendlier mushroom entity, with one member enthusiastically agreeing to join the expedition.